Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Tom. What's up, Tom? How you doing?
Hello, friends.
Did you enjoy your week off,
Doing
Tom?
pretty well. My week off. Oh, you mean the show last week? Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I watched a little bit of the show last week. You know, obviously you all were excited about Old World. Yeah. I look forward to being on future World shows.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good time. Got another game in this weekend. It was real good. So we did a nice little 2-on-2 this weekend, and the Tomb Kings and the Bretonnians actually teamed up. It was a good, the ancient enemies allying together, both bastions of order and mounted grace to defeat their enemies, and it was a good game. A lot of back and forth, so a lot of fun. But of course, first we're gonna to this week's show. It's not about that. This week we're gonna talk about fixing the General's Handbook. We're back in AOS land, and we're gonna talk all about how the heck we fix this situation and get this stuff back on track, hopefully within 4.0. So what we want to see out of them, so on and so forth. But of course, first, the news.
We have a rumor engine.
We do. It's worthless.
Yes.
It's trash.
You know,
there it is.
it's trash. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, whatever. Yeah, I'm tired.
It looks like a piece of coral.
Indeed. Like, I'm tired of non-helpful rumor engines. Like, I wish that they would do some rumor engines that actually, like, generated excitement.
Yeah.
That would be a positive experience, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do with this. It just looks like it's a coral or a sponge or something like that. Yeah, it's...
No.
Okay,
I
great.
can tell you what it is.
I'm ready.
It's smoke. It's sculpted smoke. The thing you hate more than life itself.
I really think it might be coral. Like, legitimately, it might be coral. Like, just, like the IDK model out of something, some Warcry band or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know, man.
Yeah, like, it's some IDK foot hero. Sitting on a piece of floating on a piece of coral. Or like one of their little animals riding on a piece of coral or whatever. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
In Underworlds or something of that nature. So, who knows? Anywho, what else we got?
Yeah, so we got a new old model announcement.
Yeah, let's talk about this. So this was all the discussion on the internet here.
Yeah.
This is a new... Okay. A new model for the old world.
Yeah.
And, I relentlessly bag on GW for not sharing their... the names of their sculptors and artists who do these projects.
Yeah.
I think it's crap.
Yep.
I think it's utter and complete crap.
Yep, when they don't advertise it.
Yeah, I just think it's... I think it is an extremely terrible bad faith practice. And any argument they make about protecting people from kickback is nonsense. Across the, world of every other game where artists and writers and
are celebrated
and are yes, sometimes writers of rules do get yelled at, but artists almost universally get celebrated. Like, if you ask people anybody who plays Magic to any degree can tell you who their favorite Magic artists are and have cards that have moved them or that they love or that they hold in special regard or stuff like that. And they know who created that piece of art. And when they go to conventions, they'll find those people at like Gen Con and buy that stuff in prints from them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Because they've connected emotionally to that thing. Art matters. And the artist who created it matters. Okay. So that's my number one starting point here. And then, and like, this sculptor is an incredibly talented sculptor. He's made many things since, clearly, when he was younger. This is 15 years ago he sculpted this. Okay.
Yep.
This was, or 16 maybe, because I don't know. He sculpted it for the 2008 Games Day in green stuff by hand or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's, the person's much younger in their career. And the the fact that they then chose to re-release this model is doing that guy dirty. The fact that they even interviewed him and shared it and stuff in there, like, I get it. The guy has some nice features going on. Like, I don't hate things like his cloak and the chain and all that. I think that's very well sculpted for handmade stuff. Like, I think the robes and things like that are all good. But that face, come on,
ignore
man.
the face. Like, look at the movement on those robes.
Yeah, that's all fine. It's great. It's good stuff, especially for who he was clearly young in his career, right? That's all top-notch work. And honestly, in the era of handmade green stuff, sculpts, it was exceptionally good. Exceptionally good.
Yeah.
But, like, good night with that face. Come on, guys. You knew that wasn't ready for prime time. You just got this mold out and had him redo it. It's a silicone mold. It does not cost that much money. You couldn't go, hey, here's the mold. Why don't you make a new head and we'll repress a new thing out of it, right? So like, because he would make a completely different head today. There's no way this artist can be like, yeah, this is the thing I wanted released under my name. Because that is just derpy as all get out. And there's no way that sculptor, who is immensely talented, would sculpt the same face today. It's nonsense. Like, so I love the fact that this is the time they decided to actually, like, bring the artist in and credit him, is when this is the piece. And all it gets done is made fun of and memed on and stunted on all weekend. Like, great. That's going to make the guy feel good. What a great day for this dude. You know, like, it'd be like if my paint job that I was forced to take to a competition was something I painted in 2013 or whatever, right? Like, it would not be a great day for me. I wouldn't feel good about it. So at any rate, whatever. It's fine. Like,
I don't know. I think some of your old pieces stand up. I think some of your old pieces hold up. I was looking at your Phoenixes that you did for me like 10 years ago, right? They're still pretty good.
Yeah, they're fine. It's okay. But like this was just not nice to this person to re-release this like this without giving him a chance to update it, which is what should have been done.
Yeah, right. That's fair. Yeah.
So, anyways, cool beans. I've said my piece on this. Credit artists and, moreover, be kind to them when you're the one who is managing their work product and their output. Don't throw them to the wolves like you did here. So I don't think that's cool. I do like the weird little kid following him around with his helmet, though. I think that's fun. I think more nights you have weird little kids following him around.
I don't. That's super creepy.
It's great. Some of the questing nights have like one of the questing nights has like a kid riding on his shoulder, just like no reason. Like there is a reason. He's blind and he has a little kid riding on his shoulder with like a little telescope. So if that little kid dies, this guy's done for. Like what a dark situation that is.
I have so many thoughts.
Yeah, the kid's clearly like 8 in the sculpt. Like, he can't be older than that. So, fun things. Has the artist made any new pieces? Yeah, a ton of new stuff. Like, this guy who sculpted this has done a bunch of new stuff. I think somebody in the comments had mentioned that he did Nagash. I think that's correct. I think he's done many other things. So, there you go. Okay. Derek Hildebrandt said, do you think if they had a chance to modernize it, it would go against the aesthetic of the old world style? No. I think you could just make it a good sculpt. Like, you don't need to change anything except the head. and probably the right hand, really. The right hand is also very off. Like, his index, look at this finger is just like, it's way up here. Right? But, that's fine. There's a lot of good stuff on it. It's just, again, it's just early in someone's career. Okay. Next up, what's next?
Some folks that are in the comments are tuning in from LVO, and tomorrow we have an LVO show.
That's right. Tomorrow is the LVO. Well, technically, for where we are, it's not actually tomorrow. I guess if you want to be completely pedantic, it's Friday at midnight, early. So whatever. Sure. But yes, tomorrow night. Or 9 p.m. on Thursday Pacific time. So yes, looking forward to it. I don't know if I'll watch it live. I don't think we would do a show at like 1 a.m. unless it just blows the doors off.
That's what I was gonna say. Are we doing a 1 a.m. show tomorrow?
Maybe. I mean, if it's the most incredible reveal ever in the history of things, then I would do.
What if it's docked to Electric Boogaloo?
They put together. Yeah, sure. They put together another trailer that's that good
You're calling me at 1, aren't you? And you're like, we're doing this. Get on right now.
Tomorrow they reveal like a massive part of the Skaven line through an awesome trailer, right? That for the 4th edition launch. Like that's what happens, okay? If that's what we get the reveal. If that occurs, you might be getting a phone call at 1 in the morning. I'm just saying. That could happen. It's possible.
I believe it.
I have to be up real early on Friday too, so that's just not going to be a good situation. But for the Skaven, I do what I must. Okay.
Indeed.
All right. So so tune in. If worst case, maybe we'll talk about it on Friday, or if it's just okay, we'll talk about it next week. That's what's gonna happen. So I guess we'll see. It all comes down to you, GW. Make it a good one. All right.
No, don't make it a good one, so I get to sleep tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Any other news there, Tom?
Nope. I think that is it for us.
All right. Let's go to some
15 minutes, Tyler.
It's good stuff. Let's go to some pick of the week. What would you like to share with everybody, Tom, for your pick of the week?
Yeah, we had some folks. An event sign up went live that I want to spruik, which is the Battle in the Smoky Mountains. It's 60-some person event. Unlike the Lexington event where all the tickets sold out, it has many tickets still available. So check it out. I know me and some folks from Lexington are talking about possibly heading down to that. It is at the end of May. It's like the perfect time slot because I was looking at the other events around it. It's the weekend of Memorial Day, so it's like the perfect time to travel. Because if there's an optional 6th game if there's like ties on Sunday night, which is great because even if you stayed for, you won all your 5 games, there's a tie, you need to do the playoff Sunday evening, it's fine because no one has to work on Monday. It's perfect. It's perfect. Love it. So check it out. Signups will be in the comments below.
Very nice. For myself, I've got both a sort of I got a couple recommendations actually. I'm gonna stand in for Tyler here. Since you don't have a guest, I feel okay doing 2. First off, if you're still looking for some old world content after last week, I've linked Russ the Face from Facehammer Veal, who did a nice video going over all the common magic items. Tom, you remember magic items and purchasing them and stuff? You remember that? That was a thing?
I do.
Well, guess what? Russ made a video going over all of them in detail and talking about them and sort of what's good, what's bad, and what has different uses and things like that. So you can get the skinny on what's there in the core book. That's number 1. Number 2, I think 2 weeks ago, Tom, you talked to me about the magnetic measuring sticks from Caleb.
Yes? Yeah.
So that is from Dorkdom Gaming. Okay, yeah. I have the card right here because Caleb reached out and got in touch with me. I got a couple of them. I got both the one on the tray as well as the stacky sticks.
I was supposed to give you some of those.
Oh, it's all right. Caleb and I worked it out, and they're amazing. Okay. So I'm gonna.
Right.
This will be. They're amazing. They're so good. They are so good. I have never been more stoked for measuring sticks in my life. These are quality made products. Moreover, he's got the mat on the bottom.
How about that 1/2-inch inset?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's really good. So, anyways, dorkdomgaming.etsy.com. It will be down in the description as well. Dorkdom, DORKDOMGAMING, dorkdomgaming.etsy.com. Check it out. They're fantastic. I meant to hold them in my hands so I could show people. I don't know if you have it in your arm's reach, but mine is out there on the
I don't. Mine are down on my
table. It's fine. They're awesome. You'll see them on the site. They're incredible. They're very high quality made. I was so impressed with them. I was messing around with them. So yeah, check them out. Would recommend 10 out of 10. I got red and black. I got red for the stacky sticks and black for the insets.
So I have Zinch teal.
Nice.
For the stacky sticks.
Nice.
So if you would rather those, I'm willing to trade them just because I know
I like the red. The red's cool.
I would say I know teal is your color. That's all I'm saying.
I'm a fan of many different hues, but yes, it's fine.
That's fair.
So at any rate,
I just want to acknowledge your preference. The only thing better would have been hot pink. Like, right? Like, I know,
sure.
like, I know, I know the space you live in.
I would have taken a hot pink, absolutely. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Do you know how many like hot pink socks and stuff like that I have? Yeah, of course.
I do in dice. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yes, dorkdomgaming.etsy.com. Check it out. Let's hit Caleb with some orders. They're so good. Would recommend 10 out of 10. I've never been more excited about measuring sticks. So good stuff. Anyways, there's no like compensation for that. Whether this isn't an ad, that's just me legitimately talking about a thing I thought was awesome.
Right.
Okay, cool. Let's do some hobby time. All right. Hobby time. Tom, what have you been working on?
Well, I was painting. And I got into like the weeds of my like blistering skin on my FEC, and then all of it like ground to a halt this weekend because I had a mini marathon with my kids and their cousins
of D&D.
And of D&D, yes. And so we played like 12 or 14 hours across 2 days, which is like a really big deal for 10-year-olds. And like we had some 13-year-olds at the table. We had a 10-year-old. We had like an 8-year-old, and it was great. Everybody like hung in there. It was fantastic.
Nice.
And so now I'm spending more money than I want to acknowledge. Like further like on their buy-in, right? Like they're all like, let's do this every waking minute of the day. So
of course.
And so now I'm gonna have to mix in some RPG models into my painting rotation, which I'm moderately excited about. So that'll be fun.
Nice.
Have some nice palette cleansers there.
Yeah, sure. I'm working on a couple things. So first off, I'm working on some little Bretonnian ponies. There you go, a little Bretonnian horse. Some good old classic Knights of the Realm. This is the sort of purple and white color scheme I've come to that I really like.
Obviously, simple. Models that you've had for 15 years.
Oh, so long. I opened up. I wanted to see what extra I had assembled. I'm not talking in box.
Sure.
Okay, this isn't NOS, right? I have some of that too. But I wanted to see what I had assembled and waiting, and the answer was I have a full lance of regular knights, a full 6-pack of Grail Knights, and a full unit of questing knights, all just assembled and just chilling. As well as I have 6 peg knights assembled and a green knight. So that's just the extra. Keep in mind, I have 8,000 points of painted Bretonnians.
I need to take do an assessment of what are the practical sizes of high elf units one would feasibly field.
Sure.
And then get rid of everything else that
it's
doesn't
20.
map. That's what I'm saying, right? Because I have 100 Sea Guard, I have probably 60 Sword Masters, I have just 4 Skycutter Chariots, just insanity, right? And so I need to figure out what my numbers are if I want to play Old World with them, and then just liquidate the rest. So I've pulled everything out of shelves this last week.
I mean, it sounds like what you really have is options. Because, I mean, you're probably not going to run a single unit of more than 20 Sword Masters, but I'm not going to say you don't want 3 units of 20 or something crazy like that.
I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah, boy. You know you want that Initiative 7 greatsword attacks. That's what I'm saying, buddy.
I know.
All right. So, at any rate...
I'm hearing they're pretty hot.
They're pretty hot. Yeah, it's pretty good. At any rate, so yeah, that's. I'm also working on another thing that's a big thing that I can't share. So, but you'll see it eventually. Always. But there you go.
And I'm prepping for an RTT this weekend. So I have a local RTT that'll be fun on Saturday.
Doing a little one dayer.
Yeah.
What are you taking?
The Flesh Eater Cords. I'm gonna take them out for a spin. It'll it's not anything that I would ever field at an actual event because I don't know that I would ever not take Usharon to an event, but he hasn't dropped yet. Sure. So he's going to drop sometime in the future. And so at this point, I just have a bunch of stuff That it's, basically I'm gonna play the basics, right? Like I'm gonna play the fundamentals of Flesh Eater Hordes.
Yeah.
And see how far I can make with that in a one dayer.
Yeah. Yes, I didn't, Marco. I didn't have the link down in the show notes yet. You'll have to just go off of what I said, which is dorkdomgaming.etsy.com. Just do that, and then you can go there. You'll have to use magic fingers to make with the TP typing. I will put it in the show notes after we're done. Okay, cool. Well, with that, Tom, why don't we get to today's main topic? How about that? How you feeling about a main topic? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, our main topic today is going to be fixing the GHB, fixing General's Handbook. How should these things work? Okay.
Sure.
Now, here's what I want to know, audience. First of all, if you haven't hit like yet, as we transition into the main topic in 21 minutes, just burning it down, then, hey, hit like or subscribe or do that fun stuff. But what I want to know, moreover, as we're talking about this, is, are Tom and I alone on an island here? Are we crazy? I really do want to know where all of you stand on this, because I kind of hate the General's Handbook during 3.0, like, kind of a lot. And, like, I hate all of them, I think.
Truly
which is weird.
Yeah.
Because I think some of there's stuff in there that's better than it's ever been, but at the same time, there's just so much about it I don't like. And I want to know if the audience is, like, am I on an island? Are you and I on an island, Tom? Is it just you and I hanging alone on our desert island here, and everybody else is out having a great time, just, bouncing around in their bouncy castle, or not?
I've been screaming it for a long time. Like a long time.
Yeah.
Like it's a problem. Like, right? It's really, really a problem.
Yeah. Yes, Cygnus, they are. Obscure Manitor said hate is a little strong. No, I don't think so. I think I've fully come around to the fact that I hate these things. Like, I really do. That's the word I'm going to use.
Welcome to my world, friend.
Yeah, but again, like, when people say they like it, I get what they like. I just don't know if, like, have my tastes for what I want deviated so far from the standard? Do we have a case where we just have a really split audience out there, and, like, we're not alone, but there's some people who are really in sort of camp A, and there's some people who are really in camp B, and so on, right? And so I don't know. That's what I want to talk through tonight. This is going to be sort of a session of a lot of discussion, right?
Sure. I think that there is a certain subpopulation that probably really appreciates battle tactics because they cater to their playstyle.
Sure.
And they cater to the types of events that they want to see.
Okay.
So we can talk about that.
So let's do a little overview here. Okay, let's start there.
Sure.
I have 3 suppositions I'm going to make. These are for me. Okay?
Yep.
Supposition the first. General's handbooks in this edition have been mostly bad in regard to the season rules that they have introduced. On offer, we have the monster season, which was not that, and was just generally imbalanced. We have bounty hunters. I don't think I need to explain why that was a terrible season and suddenly aced, like, hundreds of just like wide swaths of War Scrolls were just no longer playable, right? And were bad. We had the foot hero season, which I found truly and deeply annoying, because it was like, hey, we'll make your bad foot heroes useful by giving them extra points when they just stand around and go do sort of obsequious tasks, right?
Yep.
And then we have current season, which is, the season of Blizzard Wizards and Horror Frost and, like, Super Magic season. And obviously, look, I make no bones that I know I probably deviate from most and that I hate Magic in AOS. I think it's like the weakest part of the system.
Yep.
And so building an entire season on it, I understand I might be quite different than everybody else. Maybe everybody else really likes Magic, and so this is a thing they've enjoyed. Yep. But like from the season rules, I just think they've been mostly whiffs. I think the Foot Heroes was the best one, and it was the best because it was boring. Because it didn't disrupt everything.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, like that's where I stand. And again, like in the monster season, what did you have? You had basically the let's kill all the monsters. Nobody plays monsters, right?
Yep.
In Bounty Hunters, you had no one plays the hordes that they were thinking was going to be a thing because the Bounty Hunters themselves were so strong, right?
Yep.
In Foot Heroes season, or whatever, I'm not using their real names because who cares? In the Foot Hero season, yeah, people played these things. In fact, now you had to. And, if you didn't have those weird little dudes in your armies that could just go stand around on points, you were just losing several battle plans out of hand, right?
Yep.
By the way, as a regular Sons of Badmot player throughout 3.0, this has just been like whiff after whiff after whiff of season where it's like, no, these rules aren't for you. Largely the same if you're like a BCR monster truck player in Ogres, right? Like you just go down the line and be like, well, everything kills us. We can't be bounty hunters or whatever to any reasonable degree.
Yeah.
We don't have Foot Heroes, and we don't use spellcasters who are going to throw around Blizzard or Hoarfrost or something. And every one of these seasons has just like radically altered the game and what's playable, like in a huge way. Like some of these more than others. I won't say they're all equal in what they've done, but man, have these all just radically changed around what is playable.
They make me not want to play. Like sometimes when they've rolled out, I looked at them and was like, nah. Like
no, so like
one,
Ramyam,
one
hold on. I want to say what Ramyam said here, okay? Which is I like the idea of season rules, because so do I. I love the idea of season rules. I like the idea of alternations to keep it fresh. So we're both in the same place. Like conceptually, that's what's weird about this. Conceptually, I agree with this, right? But then he said his next statement is, but it changed too much. Like bounty hunters could have been +1 to wound, not +1 damage. Sure, exactly, right? Like every season has been just like such a massive swing in what's playable. You're just like, hey, that army you were working on, forget about it, throw it in the trash. It's garbage now. You completely alter it.
Right. For a year. Yeah. Like because this is a yearly thing, and so there's like a painting meta to get up to the GHB.
Yeah, we had the year, the 2 6-monthers, and then another year is basically what's happening here.
Right. And so, and I mean, I think that's interesting because even the inconsistency from GW made it swing so dramatically that like expectations have changed on army preparation, like throughout the last 3 years.
Yep.
It's just been a poo experience.
Yeah, and so Peppo said, my AdeptCon list from last year is total trash now. Yeah, exactly, right. Like that's a crazy switch. And so that's supposition number 1. Okay? Yeah. Supposition number 2. The design of battle plans have consistently improved, and the most recent group was some of the best they've ever been. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The most recent 12 on offer, I think I would easily argue 9.5 of them are good. Like, good. Okay?
Yeah, I would agree with
if
that.
I saw them on a tournament, list, I'd be like, yeah, great, okay. I'm excited to play these. These are fun battle plans. This is the area what GW has shown it can do well is iteration.
Yeah.
When they have to do the same task repeatedly. When they have to cut from whole cloth, make something brand new, the first one is almost always bad. Right?
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, a symptom of not having functional development. Because you're just doing your development live
You're designing something and then just throwing it into the wild and seeing how the world responds to it.
Playtesting isn't development.
Right.
That's UAT. Which you do not get good feedback from UAT. Okay? UAT is like smoke testing at best.
Correct.
Flower Knight, do you have to play the General's Handbook? No, you don't have to. You do not.
But
you can
if you want to play publicly,
sure.
Basically every event runs a General's Handbook stock. Almost every event.
Almost everyone, except for, of course, the events that you and I are the biggest favorites of.
No, stop. But Steve, even this fall,
did use the Blizzard Wizard rules. You're right.
Yeah, right. No, we used Primal Magic and everything. Like, all of it was still there. Yes, we didn't have tactics, but all the rest of that was there.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'm sorry.
Still terrible.
I remember the one game we played where we said, "Do you guys just not want to do this?" And they were like, "No, I don't. We don't want to do this either." And we were like, "Thank God! All right, let's play a fun game.
We're just gonna ignore that.
Let's actually just play Warhammer instead of whatever the heck this is." Okay.
Yep.
All right, but the battle plans have consistently improved. Like, they've really understood how to write good matched play battle plans. Okay.
Yep.
So, they've shown that they get it, and I like them. Like, they're strong, they're fun, they're interesting. They still have a couple of misses in every season, but I don't care. If they take a couple of weird swings and they don't land, that's fine. All right? If I've got 9, 10 functional battle plans in a pack of 12, and then they took 2 weird swings, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, agreed.
Because, you want them to take some weird swings. I want them to take weird swings, right? In a space like that. It's like in your list, right? In your list, Tom, you and I know how it is to write an AOS list, right? You have 16 to 1,800 points of okay, this is my list, and this has to do the majority of the work, right?
Yeah.
And then the last 200 to 400 points, you go, all right, I'm going to put this weird thing I really like in this list, right? I like this weird thing.
There's this one combo that I really like, so I'm going to use it, even though it is not optimal, and I understand that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I'm down with that. Take a couple big swings. I support you for that. I don't hold that against it. If you've got 10 good battle plans, you've got enough for events. Especially if, and we've mentioned this on the show before, it's not really relevant to this particular discussion, but it's worth repeating here. As Tyler has mentioned, the right answer is that at the 6-month mark, they put out as a PDF 6 event battle plans, legitimately published in the middle of the year, come January, as part of a battle scroll or something, where they're here's some new event battle plans, right? And they had 6, so the hardcore tournament grinders have some new stuff to change it up. I have no problem with that. That's exactly how it should be. That way, over the course of the year, you've got 18, right?
Yep.
Not as part of a second publication, just put 6 out there. Okay. Yeah, Keith Rogers said, I find AOS 3 very enjoyable when played without battle tactics or season rules. Just write up the army list and play the battle plans.
Weird.
Yeah, I agree. Part of that's very true. I can't disagree with that at all. Okay, final supposition. Some of the rules we have tested in the seasons, tested in quotations here, have been great and should be added to the game. So as an example, I just have 2-rank fighting, right? Okay. That's a great thing. Should probably be part of 4.0. There's been a couple other examples like that. CW Craner said, on a supposition, you hate the GHB because you fundamentally hate 3rd edition and prefer playing 2nd with the current War Scrolls. I really don't. There are things about 3rd edition that I don't like. Say, the enhancement section of the current core rules, because I think it's written poorly. But I legitimately think 3.0 is a good addition. There are plenty of things I would change about it.
Monsters Actions were a wonderful addition. Heroic Actions were a pretty good addition.
There's things I don't like in the edition. Battle Tactics, I think, should be jettisoned into the sun in their current form.
Agreed. Okay? Agreed. Yep.
But most of 3.0 is pretty positive. It's a lot of cleanup. It's still pretty straightforward. Most of the core is still the same, and I like most of the additions. There are things I would change, and no edition is perfect. But I think I legitimately don't like the GHBs. In fact, I want to play the edition. I like the edition. I don't like that I've never once been allowed to play the edition because we came out with it and then immediately went, now let's layer on a bunch of crazy additional rules that wildly warp what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't even know what 3.0 is unvarnished. or without this extra.
I mean,
layer.
That's not true because again, we've been to some events that do strip a lot of that away. But
sure.
But I don't disagree with you fully. Is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
That I think
says. Good. Sorry. Good.
No, I should say I think that I don't have nostalgia for second edition. So let's be very clear. There are aspects of third edition that in general are just flat out better. I like the command point world that we live in now. Like it is a fun, interesting design, right? It is a wonderful skill test. I don't want to go back to second edition. I don't want to go back to first edition with crazy command abilities, right? Like that's not the world I want to live in, right?
Yeah, sure. I could see them taking command abilities back off of unit champions or something. Like there's little changes around the edge I could make, but like the way you accrue them, and even that's not necessary. Like that's just a thing I could see. I'm not dying on that hill. For the most part, I actually quite like it. I agree.
Agreed. Yeah, so I would, so I have no illusion about prior editions. But what I would say is this: third edition, in general, it got more right than it got wrong.
Yeah, I agree with that.
My hesitancy, and it's been this literally since NashCon, when a month into the new edition, right, we were driving home from that event, and I said, I don't like battle tactics. They actually distract me from the game that I want to play.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Because it's just like person goes and stands here and does this thing and loops around twice, and it's just like I don't like the play pattern. But I know there's a lot of people who do. So I don't want to I think tertiary. To be clear, battle tactics are a tertiary objective. I think those can be valuable, right? But the reality of the thing is I just don't like their current implementation at all, right? Especially and that flows through to many different things.
Agreed.
I'm not gonna. We have talked about battle tactics so many times on this channel. I don't want to go down that road again.
I could do it more, but I think we should move on.
Exactly. Let's see. Len Runblad says, "Do we like endless spells? Do you think they'll stick around in fourth?" I hate endless spells, and think they're trash. Straight up from the bottom to the top. But I know I have a weird opinion there. I think most people like them. I think they'll probably stick around. The thing that would make them not stick around has nothing to do with the rules at all.
It's the model availability.
Yeah, it has to do with how much GW wants to sever its relationship with the China factories where endless spells are produced. They're trying to straighten out their supply chain and bring most stuff they can back to the UK. So they still do some business with China, like the large boxes are made in China, stuff like that. Like the boxes themselves, not the stuff that's in them. They get packed in the UK, but the cardboard ships over from China. So they will still have some of that going on, but I don't know how much they want to rely on that. I don't know if they want to rely on that for a regularly sold product. So it's hard to say. So yeah, I mean, there you go.
What I would say is this: I think endless spells are basically right where they should be. Where you see them in some lists,
sure,
they don't dominate the battlefield. They're interesting. But they're not build around, right? They're not dominating the play experience in any way, shape, or form in almost any build.
Yep. Peppo, yes, you are correct, Peppo. The faction terrain is also Chinese made. Yes, large boxes, faction terrain, endless spells, and the general terrain kits, the stuff that comes in the most of your Warcry terrain or other stuff like that comes from China. Not all, but stuff like that. Okay. So there you go. Ben Staffordson says, wait, endless spells aren't produced in the UK? No, they are not. Because anything with a low fidelity print or sculpt, basically, which endless spells, it's like a giant skull with some flames on it. It's not a high quality sculpt, right? It doesn't have a high amount of detail. Anything like that, they shuffle off to the lower cost printers in China, right? And to save money, because it's cheaper to have them printed there in mass and then ship them on a boat 10,000 miles. Which somehow that is true. It's
still weird. Way cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. But all the models that go in the box. So for example, you buy a box of models or something. If you're just buying like a standard kit, everything in that box, including the box, is produced in the UK. If it's just like a standard size kit. So, okay. Great. Boop. Let's look at the past. Okay. Tom, I want to take a walk down memory lane here. You ready?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Because I think it's important. You know, a lot of people have said, "Hey, I just started." Right? Not everybody's been in this game in AOS since the beginning. It's weird to think of it now. It's, it's 9 years old, right?
We're legitimately the old people.
Well, Tom, we've been the old people for a while. I hate to break this to you, but yes. But they this concept has been around since 2016. That was the first General's Handbook. And I thought we would take a look back at a couple of GHBs that I think stand out for different reasons. So here we go. We're going to start here with GHB 2017. And in fact, I'm going to reach over my shoulder and show you what it looks like, because it's this right here, because I will never remember this. You will pry this from my cold, dead hand.
Man, it was so good.
This is a fantastic book. First of all, softback. Simple. Easy. I don't know how much this was. Do you remember how much this was? It doesn't have like a price printed on it.
I think it was like 35. It was something like that. It was less than the actual battle tomes.
Yeah. With thanks to Dan Heelan, Wayne Kemp, Russ Veal, Les Martin, and Ben Curry of the Faithful for their playtesting services. All right. A lot of people not playing this game anymore on that list. I love all those guys. They're amazing guys. Some of the nicest people in the world. I think that is nearly 100% not playing this game anymore list. At any rate. Funny. I never noticed that little thank you. Okay. Then we're looking at the table of contents here for this book, right? Now, let me explain a couple things. This is going to look weird to people. First of all, this was still very much when they were in the whole open play, narrative play, matched play, 3 ways to play thing. Okay? And so they have it divided up according to that. This was also a time period where basically no one had books in 2017, right? Basically no one had a book. Right. So they had to print
allegiance abilities
in the GHB. Yeah. And when I say in it, I mean like they went to the limit. This is the last page of the book. Like
I know,
the back
like
cover,
it was
people.
On the cover. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is printed on the back cover. Our rules. Okay. Like they took it to the limit. Because when you print books, you base it so like it has to be in multiples of 4. Okay.
Yep.
And so like they got to this point and they were like, we cannot cut a page. This is it. And we're not adding 3 more pieces of paper. So
nope.
So yeah, the Iron Sons were on the last page. Hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, this was good times. +1 to charge for all your Iron Jaws. Smashing and bashing still there. And Mighty Destroyers. Everything you need.
We're here.
Sorry.
We're over here, Vince. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting lost in that the nostalgia. At any rate,
nostalgia. Yep.
Iron Jaws rules have always been the same. That's what's great about it. I mean, they changed, but they're always the same. Okay. Yep. Now, here's what's important. This book...
That Wanderers had an allegiance ability in that book.
Yeah, sure. They did, yes. Hope for you Wood Elf players. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got the old world now. You're good. Wood Elves are back, baby. So, at any rate, the important part here to understand is these things supported... Yes, they say open play, narrative play, blah, 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 whatever. But what it actually did was support multiple different play modes that were really fun. So if you look over here in open play, they have this thing that says multiplayer games and Triumph and Treachery. Okay? And they had battle plans specifically for these. And in fact, delightful. here you go. I'm going to show you one of them because I feel like this will make it more real for people. So this is a Coalition of Death, which is a multiplayer game. This is assuming in basically some kind of even number of players or something. You have some coalition on one side, coalition on the other. You nominate one of your heroes to be a warlord. That's the person in charge of the coalition. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they, this is just one sample. You'll notice the way you score this is you've got objectives. You see there's 3 of them, blah, 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 whatever, right? But you don't win through whatever the normal method was at that time, right? Instead, your victory points are scored as follows. You get 1 victory point each time a coalition slays an enemy model that has a wounds characteristic of 10 or more. You get 1 victory point if is scored if a coalition slays an enemy general, plus 1 additional if you kill the enemy warlord. And then each objective is worth 1 victory point to the coalition that controls it at the end of battle round 1 or 2, 2 victory points at the end of battle rounds 3 or 4, and 3 victory points at the end of battle round 5. Right? Okay. So this has 3 different victory point modes doing 3 different things, right? It has a hold-based scoring, which is the majority, but then it also has 2 different kill-based victory point acquisitions, right?
Yep.
So that to me, I loved this stuff. We've used a bunch of these a bunch of times. I love having these different options of how you score victory points, right? This is the kind of thing I wish they would start building into more battle plans, honestly, in 4.0, is alternative victory point paths for doing different things besides standing. Yes. Let's put in some kill stuff. It's fine. It's okay. Kill specific things. Right?
Yeah. Kill specific things on the enemy team, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to have gain points for killing monsters in this battle plan.
Right.
Where monsters are disincentivized in certain battle plans. That's okay. That is okay design.
Yep. Especially if you kind of spread it around or have different things or more universal things especially if you cap it, you can't gain more than 1 victory point of this type per turn or something like that. At the end of the turn, score 1 victory point if you killed 1 or more monsters, blah, 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 anything like that, right? Or so on and so forth. The other thing that was in here, so this is the coalition, the multiplayer. We used a bunch of these. And then this is technically a Triumph and Treachery battle plan, but we've used this a ton, honestly. We've used this a bunch just for our multiplayer games, for doing 3-player games without playing actual Triumph and Treachery. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we just jettison the secret objectives, basically. All right. Mm-hmm. And we keep everything else. So this, when you put up 2 realm gates on the table, I actually have the realm gate terrain. So
I did. I sold them off locally a while back, a couple years ago. So I'm regretting it now.
You should. I love them. They're great pieces of terrain. So with this one, you can do the secret objectives, and that gives you appropriate number of victory points. But that's if you're kind of doing real Triumph and Treachery. Like I said, we never actually went with those. We just did big 3-player chaos games, right? And then 1 victory point is scored in each phase for every 5 wounds you inflicted in that phase. A surprisingly fun method, by the way, because it's only for the phase. So especially as it gets down late in the game, Tom, you'll be amazed the number of times you'll get 3 or 4 wounds on, and you're like, God, 1 short. Couldn't get that thing in the phase, right?
Yep.
So,
and it incentivized mixed arms lists. Instead of all shooting and all melee. Yep.
And then you have the basically the realm gates are your objective, so you score for standing near them and keeping everybody else away, right? So again, you've got a standing objective and you've got a kill objective, right? But I've used a ton of these a ton of times. And I've played every scenario out of the Coalition of Death and the Triumph and Treachery just so many times over the years since, in the 6 or 7 intervening years. And I love them. I think that they're great. And I wish we would see battle plans that broke up and put in different victory point conditions as part of the thing. So that's why I wanted to bring these back up. I also wish we had actual support for doubles, teams, multiplayer,
Yep.
all these kinds of things within there. Okay. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I also put in the GHB, or the table of contents here for GHB 2018, because already you could see the world changing. Now, first off, Tom, this is very funny. We've got like 50 pages of allegiance abilities here, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to point out the allegiance abilities Skaven Pestilence, allegiance abilities Skaven Scryer, right? This was during the we have way too many allegiance abilities things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Darkling Covens, by the way, Tom, different from Dispossessed and Free Peoples and Fire Slayers. Remember this?
Very
this
aware. Yeah. Before they were unified under the Cities book.
That's right. So, but this one introduced aerial battles and had like this kind of stuff going on, as well as a bunch of really interesting narrative battle plans that are actually pretty cool. In this one, you can like recreate these sort of different stories from amongst the time. You'll notice by this one, by the way, in the GHB, we stopped crediting actual people and we just say with thanks to the faithful.
Yeah.
And the Warhammer community, Age of Sigmar community for their playtesting services. Already we have you can watch the cascade back into old GW in real time.
Yeah, basically. Like the pivot.
Yep. It's fun. And so, this was still a good one. This one was a little goofier with like aerial battles, but it still did a lot of those things. The other thing I wanted to share with this one, Tom, is notice that up in the top under Conquest Unbound, a huge amount of things you're getting are terrain piece rules. So the Arcane Ruins, the Azerite Ruins, the Baleful Realm Gate,
they were war
Citadel
scrolls
Wood. They were war scrolls for them, and they had specific terrain rules, right? Which is just wild. It's wild to me that they can't keep a set of terrain in stock. That they don't have a
standardized set.
Yeah. Like a full offering, probably 2 or 3 tables worth of very standard terrain that they keep in stock. I mean, I think they've just given it up to third-party producers, basically, that they can't beat third-party or printers or stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, for years they did have that, right?
Sure.
Like Citadel Woods, Arcane Ruins.
Sure.
Like, there are a handful of pieces that were, like, consistent. And that were there for a decade plus. That said, if I were GW, I would do rollouts with each edition.
Sure.
So like
you'd have a new terrain rollout with each edition. Yeah.
Each edition has, let's say, 6 new terrain pieces that launch with that edition at the beginning of the edition. And those war scrolls and those rules are baked into all the books and all the assumptions of everything. And they plan on selling that set of terrain for that edition.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like a very logical business approach. I have no idea why they haven't done that yet.
It's weird.
I mean, imagine this. Imagine it was just a box that came out at the beginning of the edition and lasted for that entire edition.
Mm-hmm.
And it had all the terrain pieces.
And it feels like they almost did that when they put out that Kron Spine box.
But
then they put the Kron Spine in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Like, they
didn't have any specific rules for the ruins or anything in there. It's just like, here's some
could have
ruins.
Been right. Like, they were so close with that, right?
Yeah.
With the Heart of Gerbox. They wouldn't have to include all the boards. Like, I think the right answer is something like this. There needs to be some style of Heart of Gerbox that would have like 3 terrain pieces in it of the 6. And then the other 3, and then all 6 would sell individually or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like that's the marketing approach that they should have taken, that they've just never really taken it. It's really surprising.
Yeah. So, at any rate, I thought there was a couple interesting things to point out from the past to take this little trip down memory lane, as it's going to inform our future discussion.
Yep.
Okay. Now let's move to now and future king, as it were. Okay. Okay. So let's start here. So now I have a bunch of books sitting behind me.
Yep.
Current GHB. Now, This is a well-constructed book, spiral bound, nice heavy cover, fits well in a bag, easy to transport. There's a problem with this, Tom, as I was looking at this. Okay?
Okay.
I quite like this little thing. This little rules reference on the back. It's nice.
Yep.
This book has almost nothing of value in it.
Nope.
Okay?
Nope.
First of all, it's not a very big book. Secondly,
nope.
What's in it is you have your battle plans, right? You have your 12 battle plans. Okay, which take up that amount of space. And then you have, about 5 pages of the current, maybe 6 pages, what is it? Of the current season, the current seasonal non-sensory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 7. Apologize. 7 pages of the current season non-sensory. Not all of that is necessarily valuable, but it's there.
Yep.
And then you have, endless spell scrolls. Right?
Yep.
And then from there, it's just a reprint of the core rules, which is just a free thing that's in the app.
Well, did you catch that? They basically, every GHB updated all of the endless spell rules?
Sure. I mean, this is where they're taking a swing at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every single one.
Yeah. Well, because we've never gotten it right. We had to keep doing it over and over and over again, right? Mm-hmm. But there's almost nothing left in this. It's like a small amount of seasonal rules, i.e. the 12 battle plans and the 7 pages of the 5, 6, 7 pages of the seasonal rules. And then the rest of this is just reprint crap that's basically free somewhere else. Right?
Yep.
These core rules you can download for free. Okay?
Yep.
They're in
and
the
everything
app
else
for free.
is on and everything else is on Wahapedia.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna talk about that. I'm not even gonna talk about stolen stuff on Russian sites. Okay?
Sure. Sure.
Just legitimately from them free. Okay? Mm-hmm. You do not have to pay for the core rules. You can download the app for free. You do not sign in. You do not register. It costs you $0. You get that entire section for free. In fact, in a more usable fashion than what it is here, because it's all hot linked. Right? With a digital TOC. Okay? So really you're getting about 12 battle plans and 5 pages of stuff. Right? That's what's in this book for $50.
Yep.
That you buy once a year. Yeah? Okay.
I didn't even buy the last one.
Sure. And Mark Andre, who said, I like the rules in the GHB. I don't plan on purchasing the core book next edition. That's fine. I don't care if they put them in there, but I'm not giving them credit for it.
If you buy the launch box, you'll get a core book. Sure. You don't need to buy the core books, or you can go on eBay because a bajillion of them are on sale for $5.
Yeah, sure, of course, because they'll come out of the big boxes. But my point being is that they get no credit for that because again, they're free as a PDF from the website, in the app. Mm-hmm. They're free in 20 different places, right? Mm-hmm. Or incredibly cheap. So I'm not giving them any credit for putting the core rules in this thing. I don't mind that they're in here, but it's not anything. Add. It's not a value add. Yeah, you're just printing pages, right?
Correct.
Okay. So that's this thing. This thing has... Right, exactly. Sean Williams said, I stopped buying the GHB because I don't want to spend $50 for 12 pages. Yeah. That's exactly right. And so we've ground it down from this, right? Which was every page of this is honestly kind of interesting.
Remember the Regiments of Renown?
All of the... Well, I mean, there are still regiments around, but I understand what you're saying. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
This is packed with stuff. Now, again, with a lot of that has also become worthless because, some part of this in the middle is points. You don't need that in here anymore, right?
Yep.
All those profiles. Some part of this... Hey, Tom, look. the thing that would make you hate the 2017. Isn't this your favorite thing in the world, Tom? Do you see what that is? It's a War Scroll update for the Grunstock Thunderers when they nerf Tom's army out from under him. You know, you don't need these allegiance abilities anymore, so like that's fine.
Indeed.
Okay. Yes, you're correct, Assistant Ref. The endless spell rules are in there. But you can they're in the app as well. You can just go look at the endless spells. Okay. So what things we don't need in this book anymore. Okay. Points changes. Obviously, we just get them now. They're quarterly. They should not be printed in any way in a book. They are actively worse when you're using when they have to put points into these books, because when they do points updates as part of Battle Scroll, right? Mm-hmm. The wonderful quarterly update, which I support 1,000% and think is amazing. Okay, Battle Scroll is great. That stuff can be basically done. Those points changes can be done, up to 4 or 6 weeks before they get published, however much time it takes them for, editing and layout and translation and all the other sort of rigmarole, mm-hmm. right? Whereas if they're going to put points into a book in any way, then that has to be done 6 months, 8 months, longer in advance, because it's got to get, this thing wasn't this. Let's see. I don't know if it actually says, but I mean, like, I don't think these books are printed in the UK. I still don't think the GHBs are printed in the UK. I think these are.
I don't think any of the books used to be. All the books used to be printed in China previously.
Yeah. I don't know if they still are or not. It doesn't specifically say. So either way, whether it's going to a UK printer or a Chinese printer, it has to be done like crazy far in advance, right?
Yep.
And so that, like, they are actively worse if they're put in there. So we don't want those in there. Okay, fine, cool, great, neat. Endless spell updates should not be in this book. There should not be endless spells in this book. If you're going to update endless spells, which fine, okay, like I have no problem with that.
Yep.
Then put them in the Battle Scroll. That's where they should be. They should be done as part of a Battle Scroll or any standard FAQ update. There are existing things. They don't need, if we're going to change War Scrolls around, like, I don't know why we feel okay with changing those War Scrolls and not any other War Scrolls. But
and they're freely available on the app.
Correct. So, like, just put them out as part of any other update you do regularly. An FAQ, the Battle Scroll, you can sync them to whatever thing you want. But that's where they should be. That's just them looking for extra space. Because they were like, well, if we don't put something in here, it's going to be really thin.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. And then finally, new core battalions. I hate that every GHB we get new core battalions. This is like a small minor item. But I just hate them. Of all the things I hate season to season, these have had the worst track record. All right? Because either they're just brokenly good or they're basically never taken.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? They're either just utter crap or way too good. These are the only settings these core battalions have. Right? Because the way they're sort of available to everyone. And more importantly, because of what they're up against. Right? Which is your 1-drop, your Warlord, your Command Entourage, etc. Right? Yeah. Bat Reg Warlord, Command Entourage. The whole Trinity.
Like, I just wonder if the battalions in general, like, we took a swing in this edition, right?
Yeah.
Like, we tried to curtail the prior battalion situation, and generalize and move it into the core rules and all that. And we took a swing, and I think we missed. Right? Like, in general, like, battalions have just not been what we wanted them to be.
No, on average, over the course of the entire AOS 3.0, which we are now, in the final leg of, right?
Right.
Bat Regiment has been in something like 75 to 80% of all tournament lists.
Like, that seems problematic.
Sure. It certainly speaks to a problem. especially when you look at like 3 of them occur in probably less than 1%. Right, 3 out of the 6. Mm-hmm. So that's a real situation, right? There's a delta there. Mm-hmm. So just like, I think core battalions are just a miss. What do you all think? Like, I want to know what people think. Like keep those who are watching, please keep sharing in the comments. I am reading all of your comments, and I appreciate all of it. Because it's, I think that when you cut this stuff out, what are you down to with this book? Because we're not done yet. I'm going to talk about, like, when I go to the next slide, I'm going to hit this even harder, right?
Right.
And so, like, it just feels like a problem, okay? Because none of this crap needs to be in this book. It's just extraneous nonsense, okay?
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about the seasons themselves. Okay.
Yep.
This is already commented on earlier. But big swings. How big should the rules changes be? Here we go. Let's talk about it. Tom, how big should these changes be? Like, let's say
smaller than they have been.
Yeah, okay. Let's make an imaginary point system up. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
And it'll just be a standard 1 through 10 scale. Let's just say where we are right now, the current season is a, we'll just pick an arbitrary number out of there. We'll say it's a 7. Okay? Feels
4.
pretty big. Where should we be vis-a-vis that?
4.
Okay.
Yeah, they should be half as weighty as they currently are.
Why? Take me through it. Take me through your reasoning.
Yeah, so they should, like, what it should do is take some like liminal units, so those units that are on the outskirts, that are almost on the edge of interesting or almost on the edge of greatness, but for whatever reason they're not, and make them viable, playable, interesting alternatives, right? Mm-hmm. Let me say it this way. Lists should probably not change more than 500 points.
Sure.
Based on GHB. Like, lists should be driven by the book mechanics, not the GHB mechanics. And in general, I would argue that they shouldn't swing by more than 500 points per GHB of, like, units changed.
Okay.
Now, but part of that, and all of that's arbitrary in that sense. But part of that,
I understand. We're just talking arbitrarily because it's hard to quantify this stuff.
It's pointing to the skew that exists. Like, we live in a world, right, where AOS celebrates and perpetuates skew lists, right? So, like, whenever there's a really, like, underpointed unit, it incentivizes you to take as many of that unit as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. And it happens every single time. Like, sharks are just the most recent example.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But there have been many. And they need some way to dial that back in. And most of those times, these skews are often driven by either either the meta is incentivizing from the GHB or responding to the meta that the GHB is creating. Yeah. So there are a couple, like, interlocking issues that are all interrelated here.
Okay. All right, audience, I'm going to go to you here. Let's, like I said, imagine the current season, right, is a 7 out of 10 on how big and impactful the rules changes are. What number would you want to see? Drop a number in the comments. Tell me what you think. What number should it be? 1 being minimal, almost no changes to the season. It would require very minimal changes to lists, right? It wouldn't have that much of an impact other than whatever the battle plans do, right? Battle plans can incentivize and de-incentivize things, but we're talking about the actual seasonal rules, not the battle plans and how they make you want to change. Versus Like a 10 would be even farther than where we're going now, right? It's the magic season, and it's like the super duper magic season. You've got to have all your heroes should be wizards, and you're only playing with wizards, right? That kind of thing, right? Okay. Justin Sloan said, I feel too primed now, but I would say a 4 as well. That's fair. We have primed pretty hard.
Yeah, sorry.
You're not wrong.
Like, I sold the audience on that already. So
that's fine. That's fine. Well, don't worry. This isn't a scientific thing. I just want to get everybody's temperature and see where they're at. Okay. Okay. Just watching, letting some numbers roll in.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Some looks like they'd be even more conservative than me. 2s and 3s. Lots of 2s and 3s.
Sure.
Okay. 250-point change over the course of a year is what Travis is suggesting.
Yep. Stuart Angleton said, 1, write a good game the first time, please. Boy, Stuart. Let me tell you what, buddy. Simpatico. You ain't wrong. Okay. All right. 3. If I'm in GW sales 10, otherwise 4. Amazing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. All right. So people can keep dropping answers in. But here's what's interesting to me, Tom. There's one... Now, this is obviously not a scientific sample. This isn't anything. It's just people... It's just us sharing our opinions and having a discussion. But there's one person who said 7 and one person who said higher than, right?
Yeah.
Other than a joke, right?
Yep.
Everybody else was below where we're currently at.
Yeah.
Everybody else who answered was below some number between 1 and 6. Right? To me, that says everything about what we're doing here.
It just shows that we are way over the top.
Right. So yeah, and Cygnus Maximus said, I think GW is between a rock and a hard place here. If they don't change rules much, people will complain. If they change them significantly, people will complain. This one is tough. Aha! But Cygnus, there is an easy answer. There is such an easy answer here. Okay? And I'll talk about it in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get there. This is what's so funny about this. Then, yeah, Blizzard and Bounty Hunters are like a 7. Yes, correct, Keith. What's funny about this is they have completely hoisted themselves in their own petard here. Okay?
Right.
This didn't have to be like this. Because that's what the old books showed. And I'll talk about how that translates in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Tom, let's get into some nitty and some gritty. Okay?
Sure.
Let's talk about new stuff in here. You know, generally in a season, we're getting like magic items, special rules, unique enhancements, command traits, grand strategies, battle tactics, potentially more, right? Like that's not even all. Okay.
Yep.
Should all of this be in here? Should we be introducing that much new crap every season? Do we need this much new stuff?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Like, do we need to hit every single element of the special things in the game to make a season? Because that's what they're doing right now, right?
I understand that.
I mean...
Like, so my gut says something like this. Grand strategies and battle tactics shouldn't change season to season.
Okay.
But here's the funny thing about that. The refrain to that claim is going to be something like this. But then the game will get boring because you'll do the same thing every single season. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, battle tactics already make the game boring because they make you do the same thing every single game.
Right. But that's my point, is that like the recursive character of that just demonstrates the larger problem.
Yeah.
Right? You're right. That would be boring if that was the same thing every single season. And that would be boring if you did that for 3 years. Why is it not boring when you do that for one entire year?
Right. Yeah.
Right? So that stuff shouldn't be in there. I think that something like magical items and enhancements are fine. I think a single rule would be fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Like if we had one, like a single season rule and then some unique enhancements that went that helped
that aligns to
armies that align to that would be great. I don't know that we need command traits, right? I don't know that we need grand strats. I don't know that we need battle tactics. And when I say unique enhancements, like the unique enhancements, that includes magical items, because magical items are enhancements.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
So
I think a lot of this, it trims itself from a design standpoint. Like when you're looking at doing the development, the things that need to fall off are pretty obvious.
Yeah, exactly. And I think most of this could fall off, because I think if you write your battle plans to be more varied and interesting, maybe your battle plans have different victory point things going on in them, as we talked about earlier. And again, they don't need to be like the exact same stuff that I showed in the 2017 GHB. It doesn't have to be those, right? So, like, I do think that the one thing that makes complete sense to me in a GHB is a new pack of battle plans, right? That is, I nowhere in anything of this list have I said I don't want battle plans. I think they should be in there. I think they're an important thing to be in there. In fact, I want more of them. I want a PDF at the 6-month mark every year with like 6 more new ones for people to play. I want more battle plans, not less. I think battle plans are the grist of the game. I have long held that I think scenarios and doing interesting things in those scenarios are what actually keeps the game fresh.
Yep.
Okay. Like, you have your army, you are trying to do a thing. Your army showed up at a place to do a thing, right? The battle plan should be telling you what that thing is, and like creating incentives for you to do the thing, and what happens if you don't do the thing, and doing other things while you're trying to do the thing, and so on, right? You know, in all the games I've written, because you've developed on all of them, how seriously I take different scenario writing and effectively their equivalents of battle plans, right?
That is the heartbeat. Yeah.
Right.
That is the heartbeat of those things. Yeah.
Sean Williams said, why not include 18? Absolutely. Let's go 24. Right? Let's go nuts. Like, why? Like, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I am here for battle plans. Because to me, if those are varied and interesting and have alternate victory point methods and have unique things going on or experiences, right, then the rest of this stuff becomes extraneous. Because then what's different is you building a list to play on the series of different battle plans. You're not changing your entire list building strategy because suddenly you need to factor in new enhancements and command traits and weird things and should I use this or should I use that, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking about the fundamentals of like what kind of units should I include that do these varied set of things, right? And the more battle plans we have that require more varied things, the less people will write skew lists naturally.
Yep. Yeah, like that's one thing that I've appreciated about Rob's assessment on the Honest Wargamer. One of the things that he's teased out recently is how certain lists and factions perform better in certain battle plans.
Right.
I think that data point he needs to shout that data point louder, because I think that like part of our problem is that it's the uniformizing, right, of events to use like a tight battle plan set out of any given season. And when we do that, we skew the what lists are going to be successful and which ones aren't, right? Or what factions are going to be successful and which ones aren't. And so I think the answer to a lot of stagnation in the meta is a diversification of battle plans.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, not all of those need to be battle plans just for one game mode or one battle pack.
Sure.
So I'm going to do a quick count here, Tom. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay. This GHB has 26 battle plans in it.
Huh. Sure.
Okay.
Now, only some of those are match play, but yes,
Correct.
there are 26 battle plans. Yeah.
Correct. They don't all need to be, and again, I never liked the match play, narrative play, open play discussion. And frankly, I think it's dead. But not every one of those battle plans needs to be for every battle. They can be separated into different battle packs with different purposes. So you can have the multiplayer battle pack, and it has 6. And by the way, if they're like Coalition of Death style, they could still be perfectly usable with 1-on-1.
Yep.
Potentially, right? Or 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? You could have Triumph and Treachery style battle plans. Multiplayer Chaos Ball. Okay? You could have wider sets of normal battle plans that are specifically tailored for events. This is the event battle pack. Right? Or whatever we want to call it. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so all that stuff becomes... It opens the door to all of it, because the battle plan should be the fundamental currency. When it comes to these other rules, in my mind, the right level of this is, okay, it's the season. We're in, where do we think we're going? Shadow Realm? We're gonna banish everybody to the Shadow Realm.
Yep.
Next time, right? We're going to Ulgu. That's the current theory, right?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Let's talk Ulgu then. All right. GHB comes out. Ulgu's season 1, right?
Yep.
And you should have like a special rule, or perhaps a potential, as I said, I did a whole thing on this before. You have like one maybe standardized rule about like playing in Ulgu. It does this thing, some minor thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then you have maybe like 2 or 3 optional Ulgulian rules. You with me?
Sure. Yep.
Maybe. Like 2 additional optional Ulgulian rules you can use in your games. Or TOs could choose to turn on for the event. Okay? Yep. And then you have 1 set of things. Pick 1. You get 1 set of things, right? Here, in this season, here are 6 new artifacts or something.
Yep.
Right? In season 2, it'll be, here's 6 new spells. Or whatever. Or 3 spells and 3 prayers. I don't know. Right? But that's it. That's the thing. And it ties to like the narrative of what's going on at that moment. There's 1 thing. So it's what you have is 1 rule and 1 set of things. Keep it simple. Lightweight. Right?
Yep.
So that to me is like, that to me is your best case scenario. It keeps the actual seasonal rules light. It focuses the attention where it should be on making more and varied and good battle plans for different experiences.
Yep.
Right? Keith Rogers, Ulgulian, the most feared general of the FEC 2nd Regiment. That's right, Ulgulian. That's what I'm going to name my Gore Warden. Gore Warden Ulgulian. So, okay, Tom, let me talk about something else that we've seen throughout this. How much should we have experimental rules that change the core rules? How much should the fundamental assumptions of the game be changing in a GHB battle pack?
Almost not at all.
Okay.
Like if you're talking about true fundamentals. Almost
sure.
Not at all.
I mean, I would argue the fight in 2 ranks, the Brothers in Battle thing is a fundamental change to the rules. That's game changer, right?
Yep, I would agree with that.
Okay. Like that's should that be in there ever? Like basically not at all is what you're saying. Why?
Correct. It needs to like it's about transitioning new players into like GHB play. Is that it should the game should still play, like the fundamental expectations of what the game are should remain consistent from core rules into competitive. Mm-hmm. If they don't, then what it does is it creates a new set of unstated parameters that players are having to adapt to, and so it inherently sets them up for a bad experience.
Yep. Here's what I'll argue.
You are setting players up to have a not fun experience by changing the rules without letting them know that you're fundamentally changing the game.
Yeah, here's my argument. If there's something wrong in the core rules, okay, and I would argue that not being like basically making 32 millimeter based models 32 millimeter base size models with a 1-inch reach being worthless is a fundamental flaw in the core rules.
Right.
Okay. In fact, let's talk about a tale of two fundamental flaws in the core rules for AOS 3.0. Okay.
Sure.
32 millimeter models, 32 millimeter base models with 1-inch weapons being basically useless. And the new coherency capped at, 5 you can fan out, and 6+ you got to be stacked. Right? You got to be within 1 inch of 2 models. Okay?
Yep.
With the 32 millimeter bases, the 1-inch reach, we fixed it by constantly introducing over and over again weird experimental rules. Sometimes it's a battalion. Sometimes you can just do it, whatever, right? And we just never, clearly we know it's an issue. Everybody responded super positively to this, right? Exactly. You could also say 40 millimeter models on a 1-inch reach. Same thing, but I'm just, people on those bigger bases who want to be run in high numbers, but can't then fight, actually. So we just bounced around, never really fixed it. Right?
Yep.
And it's just and it just does nothing but cause problems for people constantly. It makes units just can I do this or not? Is War Scroll good? War Scroll bad? It's that easy, right? It's just a light switch.
Yep.
Worth taking, utter trash. Valid part of your army, shelf.
Yep.
It's whether or not this is on or off. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Coherency, what'd we do? What'd we do with coherency? We just came out with a battle scroll and changed it. We just changed it. We just said they came out with a battle scroll and they were like, it's not like this anymore. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
6 models now.
Correct.
And suddenly a bunch of war scrolls became usable. Right?
Yeah.
So, if we know that's the case, just fix it. That's my answer. You have a methodology to fix these things. It's called the battle scroll. And they need to get less sensitive about changing things that are in the core rules when they're just clearly broken. If something is fundamentally wrong, first of all, it shouldn't have went to print. But, let's say it did get into print, then fix it. You fix it at your first available opportunity. That's your responsibility. Yep. Okay? I think one of the reasons that they avoid fixing things is because they believe in sort of they want to maintain this illusory sacredness of books, right? That if we're changing, somebody paid money for a book, we're fundamentally changing what's in it. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah.
First of all, these things change all the time. Yeah. Okay? They get FAQ'd, they get errata, points go up and down, multiple pages and words in your physical printed book that you did are worthless a couple weeks after you buy it.
Yep.
All right? We all accept that. We all have gotten on this train. The proper method there is a flow through of automatically updated digital rules and a living rule set that's digital and updates and yada yada yada, right?
Yep.
But I'm trying to imagine the same thing in software. Imagine you have a game. Okay? Imagine take this out of the world we live in right now and imagine that you're a video game company.
Okay.
And you make a video game and it has a bug in it, and that bug is making players' lives actively worse.
Sure.
Okay? And you say, we don't want to fix it. People paid for the game. We're invalidating the game that they bought.
Right.
The other people in the room would look at you like you're freaking insane.
Yep.
Because that makes no sense. None. Zero. No. I bought your game book for the game.
Sure.
It's not a collector's item. Okay?
Yep.
This isn't like the original D&D, Legends and whatever that had Elric Melnibone in it, okay? I can't think of the name of the book, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
I'm not buying the book for the book. I'm buying the book for the game I like that I want to have a good time playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So improve my user experience. That's it. That is your responsibility as a company. It is wild to me that you would ever think anything else. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you have something fundamentally broken, fix it. Fix it. Stop it. Get help. I saw that. Like, somebody mentioned the Michael Jordan quote. Yes, I agree. Okay, so that's it. That's all I'll say about that. I don't think they should ever be in these things. Just fix these things. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tom, next question. Fundamental question. Slightly different. Should we stay in the same realm for all 3 General's Handbooks? Like, if we're going to do this realm-based stuff, if a GHB, which is fine. I like telling a narrative story of what's going on, exploring the world. Should we stay in the same realm?
Yes. And so here's how I would say that. If you're going to do rules, you stay in the same realm.
Okay.
Right. And that realm rule or range of realm rules, like, because you could have 3 rules, pick one of these for your realm, right? Sure. That maintains consistency across the whole entire edition. That's how I would do it, right? Mm-hmm. Is that that aspect of the rule or the range of rules stays fairly consistent, or that there's something related in consistency, right? That stays consistent across the 3 GHBs of that edition.
Okay.
And then there is an additional rule that's like specific to the region within that realm that you're in.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I think I agree with you, actually. I think I like staying in the realm for the 3 General's Handbooks, honestly. I just think I want to see them actually explore the realm. Assistant Ref said, but they don't really tell a narrative story. Assistant Ref, I agree with you.
But they could.
But they could. This is the challenge.
Yes.
I think we should stay in the same realm, and I think we should actually tell a story in that realm, right? Yep. Through the rules presented in the book.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's what we're on about here, isn't it? Like, if that's the concept, the story as it is just like presented in a marketing page that comes out when the book launches, right? Like, in the realm of Thondia, Dateline, Thondia, brave soldiers march to war. You know, okay, cool. Like, that's the only time you really get mention of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I want to see is something in the book, in the rules, to be more specific, that actually tells an emergent story of what's happening, bigger than what's going on. Yeah, Assistant Ref said something tunnels something. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, good. All right. So what do we want? So, Tom, I have a big list of things here that I'm going to hit you with my, right up top. Like, we can talk through all these things, but I'm going to hit you with a high level vision. Okay? To me, what the GHB should be, fundamentally, is an exploration of the world of Age of Sigmar, so the Mortal Realms, and the edition that it occupies and is released under.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And it should do that through supporting multiple battle packs, since this is a technology we created with Third, and I'm 100% behind, that they have been woefully undercapitalizing on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That multiple battle packs with lots of good and varied battle plans with different victory conditions. Mm-hmm. Some of those battle packs should be more narrative, right? Yep. And allow for a more quote-unquote story-based experience where you're actually doing and exploring the realm in question and participating in some part of some part of, like, what we're in Ulgu. What's happening in Ulgu? Show me some narrative battle plans that let me participate in what's going on in Ulgu. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Mark Andre Hool says, I think Vince likes his Legend of Korra newscaster bit. I love the newscaster voice. Tune in tonight and see what's happening. Yeah, Legend of Korra rules. But that newscaster voice is super classic, yes. I do think that should support within that scope alternate game modes. There's so many modes we could explore. Multiplayer, Triumph and Treachery, sort of chaos multiplayer, doubles, teams, siege. Right?
Imagine if we actually had like doubles promoted in a book. Like that's a format that's been running in an around, or teams, for example. Like teams seems to be a completely player kept play style.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't exist in any GW product anywhere. Why? Have you ever thought about that?
First of all, I agree with you, and it's wild, right? Because it is my favorite way to play AOS. Is in teams. Okay. And yet, right? And yet, it is basically an unsupported format. Right?
Like it's hard for me to even conceptualize.
It's crazy.
It kind of feels like Commander before Commander was moved mainstream.
Right. Okay.
There's your Magic Gathering.
There's your Magic reference. Hades said, but what would that look like, Vince? How do they tell a story through a narrative battle plan? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to refer back to the Sacred Tome here. And look at this. Realm Gate Wars to bind the storm. The mortal realms are replete with regions beset by lightning storms of terrible magnitude. Some are naturally occurring anomalies in the local meteorology, whilst other lands are endlessly lashed by fulminating storms of an altogether more esoteric nature. With such energy to fuel their incantations, sorcerers and electromancers of every description can harness these wild forces to their will. This is just as well, for numerous malevolent architectural oddities exist in the mortal realms that cannot be sundered without such powers. Whether a fortification constructed from enchanted stones or an arcane fulcrum shielded with warding magic, such edifices must be brought down, and the minions that protect them destroyed, lest their influence on the region become too great. Okay? And so in this particular battle plan, all wizards know the Fury of the Storm spell, showed opposite. And all heroes have the Electromancer's rule, shown opposite. So this is a new spell and a new rule that your people get. Okay. And then you have these objectives you're trying to do, and you have a certain thing. Now, this is fairly heavy as far as what's happening. Tomb King Tristan says sound like Whirlwind's Edge. Yeah, I agree. But like, that's obviously just a more pretty generic Realm Gate one. There's no reason you couldn't just do what I just said, but make it like, in the realm of Ulgu, blah, blah, blah is happening, and blah, blah, blah are moving, and forces from multiple places are converging on blah, blah, blah. In this scenario, you've got this thing. It represents X, the secret realm shards of Ulgu that are trying to be captured for gathered power. You're either the person who's trying to get it or the person who's not, right? And it's just like, this isn't hard. Right? This is like basic stuff. How do you tell a narrative through battle plans? I mean, like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, okay? But Tom, we wrote Space Stations, or I wrote Space Station Zero. You developed it, obviously, right?
Yep.
That is a largely solo co-op focused game, right? Where you're either trying to alone or cooperatively go through and explore a space station.
Yep.
So it's a constrained thing. Every single scenario in that book is telling a story of how you're exploring the space station and the unusual things you run into and the nature of the rooms you explore. And it doesn't take a lot of extra weight to do that.
No,
it's
the
just
scenario
like what
itself
that objective
tells
is.
The story.
Yep. Yeah. So like, and I'm just me. I don't have like a team of people. So if I can do it, they can do it. Right?
Right.
So there we go. All right, now let's get into some specifics. Season rules. Do we want them in there? I think yay. Right? We want some season rules. We just want them to be lighter. I think that's what we're saying. Is that right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Multiplayer format support. Right? I think this, to me, Whether it's doesn't need to be the same thing every time. You can vary it up over the course of the edition. Could be like one has teams and triumph, and one has big chaos ball multiplayer and coalition, and one has siege games in it, or whatever. Like this can kind of fit together with alternative game modes because it's kind of wrapped up in the same thing.
Yeah.
But you can spread them out. Just like pretend like you understand that some people want to play your game other than just one person against one person. It's fine. I'm not bashing that format.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I think it's completely great, and it will always be the majority way played, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It should be adequately and well supported. I just don't think it's the only thing supported.
Correct.
Right now, 100% of the rules support single-player one-on-one format. I'm not asking for much.
Give other people other than match play, like, reason to buy the book. Like, I haven't bought it because there's no reason for me to buy it.
Yeah.
There's nothing that book offers me that I can't get easily enough somewhere else. Like, and I know this sounds really silly, but like, there are 12 pages that are interesting. 12 pages is something that's easily scannable. It's easily skimmable online, right? If it was actually 200 pages of content like it was previously, that's reason enough to buy, right? Like, yes, there are the 12 pages, but there's all the other content that's there that I can't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just no reason to buy it now.
I'm gonna speak to GW in the language that they understand. Let me
take them over to the camera too.
Let me share the language of their people. You ready? I told them this pre-pandemic. This is years ago, and I stand behind it. I'll say it again here. By the way, hit like and stuff if you haven't done it yet. We've been going for a while now. Hey, hit some buttons. Buttons are fun and they make you cool. I told this directly to the people who run the whole show, right? We meet with them at least once a year. If they actually wanted to grow the player base in an aggressive way, then they would support teams play a lot more than they do. Doubles, specifically.
Because that's how you get new players into the...
Correct. The way you get a new person to come to a tournament and get deeper hooked into the game and play the game is to have a wide amount of doubles support. Because a new person can then partner with an experienced person and go there and not feel overwhelmed. Your partner can come with you if they're like, if you've talked to your partner and they're kind of curious, but they're not going to go to a tournament alone. They're not going to go hang out with a bunch of sweaty nerds they've never met before and people they don't know and who are sus. Okay. But if it's you and your partner and you both go together and you're playing together and having a good time, different situation completely.
Yep.
Right?
I'm taking a 13-year-old into the event scene this fall. I'm doing that because of a doubles event. I would never dream of taking him to a normal tournament. Right. And just turning a 13-year-old loose.
Correct. And it's not to say there aren't any 13-year-olds. I've played 13-year-olds in tournaments before.
Sure.
Some of them are like incredibly mature and perfectly capable of that. And by the way, I'm not saying your son's not mature. I know your son. He's a perfectly good kid.
Of course.
I'm just saying, like, it is rare that you have a kid who can, like, be that contained and constrained at that age and so on and so forth. But, like, yes, when it comes to having kids there, partners, new players, right, people who've been out of the game for a while, all of these people who are people you want, who will spend money on your projects, right, who you will bring and more deeply involve into your ecosystem, will become more involved if you encourage and support doubles play. And the way you do that is you put out a battle pack for it with actual battle plans.
Yep.
Right? You put out material. Mark says, I'm taking my 40K buddy to a doubles event soon. This is exactly the way. Right.
Yeah. Guess what, folks? That's how I got in. Vin said, hey, this event's a doubles event for this Holy War thing. Let's go. And I went, okay. I've never been to an event, but sounds fun.
Yep. Exactly. Right. Like when you have a friend with you who can make sure that you don't, because you're worried you're going to embarrass yourself or say something dumb or do something dumb. We all have those fears, and that's completely reasonable. Now, in a point of fact, you could roll in as a solo person to any basic league tournament in the U.S. It's full of the most welcoming, nice people. The AOS scene is actually incredibly cool. And oftentimes people will even ask you, hey, is this your first game? Or, how long you've been playing Warhammer? Yep. And when you say it's like your first game or your first tournament, they're like, hey, cool, no problem. If you need any help, go, we're going to play cool. If you make a mistake and you want to take something back or correct something, go ahead. Like, that's every game I've ever played. So like, and that's just most people.
But for new players, you're not fighting the reality. You're fighting their anxiety.
Exactly. That's right. And this is the way you defend that. Right?
Yep.
Cygnus Maximus says, when you say siege, I hope you mean an actual castle and siege engines and all that, not defend a cluster of buildings. Cygnus, you're exactly correct. That's absolutely what I mean. Put out a castle. Cowards. Republish. Come on, old world. You're hauling out all the old sculpts. Republish that castle. I've still got that thing. I used it on display board recently.
As an aside, I had somebody this last week, and they're like, "Hey, Tom, I have all these Dreadhold pieces."
Nice.
And it took everything in me to say, "Not right now."
Yeah. Sure.
Everything.
Yep.
Castles sell, man. Castles sell.
Sure. People love castles. Castles are cool. So anyways, that's what I think. I think when it comes down to this, multiplayer, doubles, teams, sieges, Chaos Ball, TNT, like, whatever, man. Whatever, right?
Yep.
All of this is incredibly valid. It should not, I'm not asking for it to become the majority of material.
Doubles actually really helps with the financials of running an event.
Excellent point. Yes, it makes it easier for TOs to run because every table now packs in double the number of people.
Right.
Yes, 4 people.
Every table. Yeah. So like to have 15 tables is a 60-person event.
Yep. Exactly. It's just a more efficient use of your space. It helps TOs actually run a tournament and not be like horrendously in the red.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. That's what's so wild about it, Tom. It's better for the TOs. It's better for the community. It's better for GW. It makes everybody more money and everybody happier, and it has zero support. It is the most insane thing that I have to sit here and argue for this. Like, it's insane.
It's true. Like, it's truly the commander format for Magic.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
Yes.
Like, it is just truly the best situation for everyone involved, except for like your tournament grinder or 2K like diehards.
Sure. And
right?
Look,
like that's like that audience is not content in that environment, and that's fine.
That's fine. You can be a legacy player and a commander player. You got go to your legacy tournament, then go to your commander tournament. It's fine.
Yeah,
your commander
absolutely.
Event, sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, it's cool, man. It's cool. You can death and taxes and then aristocrats. You can do both. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. All right. Cool. Here's another thing, Tom. You know, we're getting these armies and regiments of renown in the narrative books. What about those as something that could show up in GHBs? What do you think about that as an option?
I thought about this. Wonderful.
Yeah. I thought about this because I thought about, you know, in these old books, obviously at the time, as we mentioned earlier, you had allegiance abilities.
Yeah.
Right? And as I was thinking about that, I was like, well, we don't need those anymore because we have the books. And then it clicked in my head. I was like, or do we? Right?
Sure.
Because if we had, I like armies of renown better maybe than regiments of renown.
Yep.
But like some armies of renown located in that particular, what do I want to say? You know, or it could be either in that particular setting. Like this is, you know, and because it's because the way armies of renown work, you just throw out all the rules that are in your book and you just use what's printed on the page. You know, it makes it really nice. Because it's not adding an extra book you're referencing. You're just referencing this one book now. Yep. That would also be a way to build the narrative of what's going on in that particular portion of the world. Here's what the city's army looks like that's pushing into Ulgu or something like that, the exploratory force, or, you know, so on and so forth. Right. So just another thought that occurred to me of either of those could be perfectly valid and sort of like a replacement for what was the old allegiance abilities and still giving some love to armies, especially if you know their books are going to be sort of not coming up. Like you could, because that's how they were back then. Back in the day, it was like you either had a book or you got rules in the GHB, right? And so if we're going to have, as we predict in 4.0, it'd be a 2-year cycle to reprint all the books. Like that's what they're going to aim for, clearly, like probably 24 to 26 months to reprint all the books.
Yeah.
So like, make the GHBs inversely proportional to where you get armies renowned to who gets the new books.
Yeah. I can see that.
So you get it. I already talked about alternative battle packs and narrative support, and we already talked about some new options like artifacts and stuff like that. I think they should be there. I just think they should be limited. And like, I saw somebody when I said spells, they said, well, what if I'm not playing a spellcaster army? Sure, that's fine. That's why I said like spells and prayers. But again, if it's like one thing, I don't even know if I'd pick spells, honestly. You could pick like new command traits. Everybody has command traits. New artifacts. Everybody takes artifacts, right? You could, that kind of stuff. Like you can make it pretty universal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. All right, let's bring this home. Let's kind of end out here, Tom, on some other ideas. What else could GHBs contain? Let's take some real big swings here. Okay?
Sure.
Just the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think they could go, like, the aerial battles thing put me in mind of this. Like, what a weird swing. That was Jervis and, like, him do it because he likes playing games. Yeah. Right? Yeah. That was him just putting in a weird series of rules that he wrote and enjoyed. Okay? Yep. And although I have no interest in it, I think it's cool when they do stuff like that. Especially if it only takes a couple pages.
Sure.
So I was thinking about just, like, new mini games or other uses for our miniatures, right? Like, imagine, I'm going to make this reference here, okay? You remember Gore Chosen?
I do. I have it on my shelf.
4 chaos heroes fighting each other or whatever it was all about.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Like a scaled down versions of those kinds of things are what could show up here.
Vince, you publish, like, I think, like, this is going to sound funny. Like, I'm thinking about something the scale of, like, the Tanks game that we just did this fall. You know, that's something
like
that could
Tanks
fit
for the Apocalypse.
And
part of Snarl, the newest zine from Snarling Badger Studios. Check it out in the link below. Get a new mini game and expansions for some of our previous games, all for only $8. Okay, go ahead.
Wrap it up. Okay. Yeah. No, the point being that, like, 10 to 20 pages, right? Like, you can design a game that can fit in 10 to 20 pages that is very enjoyable and very fun. That's an alternative use for minis, right?
Yep.
Like, that would be a perfect example of this. And so something like that would be a great fit. For me, like, as much as you, like, there's this brainstorming of what this might be, right? Something like the egregious miss here.
Okay. I'm ready.
Right. Is actually only partially represented here. And it's this. The General's Handbook has almost never updated the narrative. Imagine a world where
yeah,
the first 2-3 pages is like a general's briefing.
Sure.
Right? Of what has happened in the mortal realms.
Sure.
Right? This is what is happening. This is where troops are on the move. This is the new region of Ulgu that we're moving into, and this is why.
I like it.
So imagine that then casts the vision for what everything else is in that book.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving into the umbral fields because Skaven assassins are reportedly seeking out an artifact and blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
You know, whatever the thing is that's driving the impetus for the narrative for that season. And then the General's Handbook then becomes framed by this narrative that then bleeds into all the other stuff. It involves rules for a map campaign in that region.
Yep.
It involves the battle pack rules and all of the items and everything that's right.
Yep.
Like everything is framed appropriately and contextualized. Man, how interesting would that be?
No, I agree. You're right.
If we were as interested in the narrative of why we're doing these scenarios and what these scenarios represent as the actual rules.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I am such a huge fan of maps and map campaigns and stuff like that. Again, this is another method, by the by, another thing. Like, it doesn't. I know we have Path to Glory and it's been updated and all this. But like, I'm not interested in playing Path to Glory. I just want to play a map campaign. I want to use my army multiple times, right? I want to like have it feel like I'm taking
I want
territory and stuff like that. Like, make it feel real. A loose.
I want a loose structure that helps give me guidelines for creating that, for maybe, as Cygnus has highlighted, doing an Anvil of Apotheosis style hero creation.
Okay.
For generic or modification, maybe even of generic heroes. Just light adjustment of the chassis, right? For the map campaign that involves some leveling up of surviving heroes or something like that, right? Sure. Uniques don't change. Generics can potentially be named and have upgrades or something, right? Something along this line. Like, it just seems ripe for design opportunity. And imagine if they did this every year.
Right. Yep. Because we just want a exactly. Mark Andre says match play campaign rules would be nice. Yeah, you can keep it lightweight. It's fine. Like, it doesn't have to we just want a way to connect our games together and like see the territory we're conquering, and like, as you said, if the battle plans are like seated around the map where you can feel like you're taking that map. There could be like little small bonuses for holding specific things on the map and stuff like that. You know, they don't have to be huge or game changing. They can just be there to make it feel real.
At the beginning of 3rd edition, we were notified that it was the Dawnbringers Crusade that was starting, right?
Sure.
And then in the final year of this edition, we're getting the narrative of the Dawnbringers Crusade.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's been... Imagine if all of the GHBs each year had been detailing the Dawnbringers Crusade.
Sure. Yep. And like what was going on and how they were pushing and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so then it marries your narrative with your matched play.
Mm-hmm.
So that you don't have these weird products that end up being these push out the door narrative books that end up having a bunch of crunch rules that all then get invalidated with.
Yeah. Like, no, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
And again, like, it's funny because it being framed as the General's Handbook, like, this is the handbook that the General is operating off of, right? That's detailing the current status of the war.
Yep.
Like, the name is there, the narrative structure is there.
It's
like,
all
they
there.
just have to do some framing, some light framework, and this stuff writes itself.
Yeah, when this thing originally came out, back in whatever, like its first iteration was the General's Compendium back for old Warhammer Fantasy, and it did include a lot of this type of stuff, and it was the thing about playing the games and you know, using it and creating map campaigns and like connecting together your story and expanding your world within Warhammer, right? Like, here's more ways to play the game, to expand how you view Warhammer, to make your collection more valuable, more real, to use your miniatures in exciting ways that bring you closer with your friends, right? Whereas it feels like now we've shed all of that stuff and we have skinnied this thing down to the most anemic, event-focused, tight little match play, skin and bones battle pack that's like with an overinflated price.
And there's no heart to it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
and so this is the problem.
Yeah. And that type of product caters to a particular audience.
And by the way, it's not as though, again, to be clear, I don't want the stuff that's there, like, that it's good. Like, good matched play, event-focused battle plans should be there now and forever, and expanded even, right? I'm not trying to get rid of those, right? It's just they've shrunk it and shrunk it and shrunk it and shrunk it and shrunk it until now it's like, it's basically just an anemic little sick child. And it has no actual. It's just there's no.
It doesn't have all
the lifeblood is gone.
The product doesn't actually have a purpose in the market. Like, that's the challenge, and that what it's doing is not. What it's doing is not actually like enticing people into playing the game.
Right.
Like, this product should invite people into playing the game in all the diversity of ways that the game might be played.
Yes, absolutely. This is an incredibly versatile game that can be played in a lot of ways, and this is
should be casting vision for that.
Right,
like that. This resource should be your once a year sell for why this game is interesting and dynamic and important.
Absolutely.
Not
Eric, I don't want to demolish anything for you. Like, obviously Tom and I love this game and love everything about it. The thing that why we're really going at this is because I do feel as though this product has materially downgraded and gotten worse, right? And yeah. I want to. It feels like a product that could be amazing because of the past versions of it, right? So there you go.
Yeah, Keith Rogers said he's happy for a skinny event-focused GHB to come out every 12 months, but he just wants to see a Dawnbringer style narrative book on the shelf beside it. Sure, what you're proposing is them selling two $50 books, and the problem is that neither of those books will invite the other types of players into their gaming spaces. And so this is why I'm suggesting having a single book that's going to sell to everybody, not a niche market.
That would actually be worth $50.
That actually would be worth $50. It invites people in to other styles of play.
Because here's the problem. Come this June, this thing is thrown in the trash. It is worthless garbage. I don't care how nice, how solid the construction, how well the book is. This thing in June is crap. Okay?
Yeah.
It's worth nothing.
There's truly no use for it whatsoever.
This thing I have kept on my shelf because when GHB 2018 rolled around, this was still valuable to me. And 2019 and 2020 and 2021 and so on. Right?
Yep.
I have continued to use resources out of this book in the 7 years since this thing has come out regularly. Okay? And that's the difference. I don't care if it's a softback, whatever book. Like, I don't care about the binding. I don't care about the printing. Produce it cheap. Fine. Right? But fill it full of stuff that's actually valuable to me beyond the literal 12 months I'm doing it. I have that thing. That isn't just immediately binned right after that. Right? Yep. That's the difference.
You're exactly right. And again, it's the exact reason why I stopped buying the product itself.
Yep. Exactly. Okay. All right. So, like, I mean, there's lots of ways they could go to keep expanding. I still want to see. I think they could also do narrative books and wacky campaign stuff in there too. Like, there's no reason they couldn't also sit that alongside it. That expands these ideas even more. I want to see all of that stuff, honestly. I want to buy more things from them. I just want to buy quality things.
Sure. Yeah.
So there you go. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, they could also very easily, like, I could imagine a world where the General's Handbooks becomes the bridge product, right? That actually like covers the span of gameplay.
Yep.
And then you could still have a narrative book, right? That focuses on narrative stuff, like the Dawnbringer Crusades. You could, I would also imagine a product which, like, every year is a remix of 20 battle plans.
Sure.
That is just an expanded compendium of match play battle plan stuff, related things.
Yep, agreed. And yes, as Cygnus said, the General's Compendium, I still have my copy. If you can find a copy of it at like a half-price books or some secondhand bookstore, boy, is it a valuable book. It's quality even to this day. It is really good. So yeah, okay, cool. Anything else we want to drop there, Tom? I think that's good. I think we've made our case. There you go.
Yeah.
We're probably too late. I'm sure the GHB for whatever it is for 4.0 has already been made and locked in and printed, and we'll see if any of our things come to pass. But I do hope that they take this concept and this kind of stuff on board. So there you go. For all of you out there, hey, if you haven't hit like yet, do that. Hit that button. It'll make you at least some percentage cooler, and you want to be cooler, don't you? So, do that. Subscribe if you haven't already, all that stuff. If you want to support the show, there's lots of ways you can do so. I already mentioned the games that I make with Uncle Adam. You can find the links for all that down below. Maybe you're working on some painting or hobby. There's links to Amazon where you can buy your stuff. Doesn't cost you anything extra, but gives a kickback to the channel. There's a merch store down there. That seems fun. If you want to if you want to wear a shirt with Tom's little guy on it, a little Team Tom representing, you can. And of course, then there's also our Patreon, focused on really the hobby and review and feedback and all that stuff. So any of those things are great. But as always, if just hitting like and hitting the buttons and sharing it, all that's free, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Hit all those things that make all those dings. But as always, Tom, appreciate it, buddy. Good discussion tonight. Thank you all out there for all the chats and comments and everything like that everybody made. It was really good feedback, really good interaction with the audience tonight. So thank you all. You're all awesome, as always. And barring a potential, I guess, show if the reveal is everything we want on Friday, which I'm not promising anything. I guess we'll see what happens. Barring all of that, we'll... where's that?